Is unfortunately another day with a video that did not record the audio. I did a bunch of these in a bulk on one day, and unfortunately it was a day of technical issues, so I'm voicing over this video as well. But I hope you'll still find it interesting. Today we clean up a Tulwar. This is also part of a umbrella holder find, so these were all in a antique shop, very neglected. And yeah, today we're going to be cleaning this Tulwar. So we see the traditional hilt here. It seems like it may have some kind of varnish on it or blacking. Um, and the blade, as you can see, is not in the worst shape, definitely. There's not a lot of corrosion on it. There's this kind of residue. It almost seems like something dripped on it, or, well, the corrosion at least does not seem consistent across the whole blade. And but overall, there's not a lot of deep pitting. There's not a lot of active rust. So I think it's going to be a fairly quick process of cleaning. Um, these different swords, they're all in different stages of damage. So some of them I'll be cleaning mechanically like this. With some of them, I'll be trying a chelation method, either a homebrew one or via using Renaissance Decorroder. And then I hope to be able to kind of compare the results of the different cleaning processes and see what happens. So stay tuned for like comparison videos if I'm able to coordinate the whole thing and not have technical issues, of course, in filming. Here the difficulty will be to reach the area under the langets. Of course, I'll leave that perhaps for later. First, I want to focus on cleaning the bulk of the blade. If you saw my Ninja cleaning video, you see I'm using a bit of a rough method here, which is kind of pinching the blade in between my fingers and the sponge. I do not recommend this, again, I have to say. I'm kind of working a little quickly here to give it a rough first clean. But this method can lead to differential cleaning, so to speak, because yeah, the pressure you apply is not equal on both sides, and more importantly, it can lead to injury if the blade is sharp because your fingers are kind of willy-nilly running up and down the blade. So if you're not really, really careful, you can really hurt yourself, so I don't recommend it. This is one case of me being a bad example, a Mr. Bad Example, if you like Warren Zevon. In any case, you saw there I did a quick wipe down with Autosol and now cleaned the residue off with a rag. And you'll see that the blade is actually not looking bad at all. It's very naturally aged, so it has this dark patination to it. This is a matter of taste. A lot of collectors or a lot of people who are really involved in kind of Indian subcontinent swords, as far as I understand, tend to want to remove that aging. European collectors would tend to not do that, but it's really a matter of choice here. You'll also see there's a bend there about midway up the blade. So not all of these swords are in pristine condition. Let's say apart from the rust and dirt, some of them actually have blade damage. But still, it's not looking bad at all. Here I'm using a trusty toothbrush, of course, never with a hard bristle. You want to be as delicate as you can. And this will help me get into the more hidden sections of under the langets or on the hilt. I'm using it here to work on the hilt as well, and it's because I feel like it's a little more delicate than using the sponge and kind of squeezing it under my hand. There might be, a lot of Tulwars have like inlays or decoration on their hilts, so I don't want to be too aggressive there and perhaps damage it more than I should. Well, which I shouldn't, of course, but yeah, every cleaning process does remove something. So here we have the blade kind of wiped down at this point. I think I'll be giving it another pass of Autosol. And I mean, this again is really a matter of preference. You don't always need to overdo things. Taking care of cleaning a sword, it doesn't have to be hours long process. If the blade is not in the worst conditions, it can be job of just a few minutes. One thing you'll notice there on the tip, which I think is very lovely about this sword specifically, is it has kind of a yeoman. So you'll see the spine at a certain point raises towards the tip, and the false edge is kind of raised compared to the rest of the spine of the blade. I find this a very elegant touch of blade design. So, well, another quick pass here. There's no risk uh, with Autosol, and it's a very, very mild abrasive, so there's no real risk of removing a lot of that aging. What's interesting, though, you can see the bend in the blade there, kind of at the center of it. It's bent to the right. A lot of these blades aren't spring steel, so it should be possible to bend them back. However, this one is thick enough, and the bend is serious enough, but also not so extreme that I don't think I'm going to attempt to bend it back in shape or to test the springiness of this sword. I really would not want it to break. So a quick wipe down again with a rag, and then we can see what the cleaning has resulted in. Of course, you can see under the langet there's still a bunch of residue. I will have to clean it. But overall, I would say it's looking really good. I especially look at the differential kind of shine on the yeoman. You really see the angle there of that false edge towards the tip. The issue here with the Tulwar is that it's fixed in place with like pitch. So I also don't want to be getting products underneath, because the white residue of the Autosol is really going to probably stain that kind of organic section. And yeah, here as I was mentioning, you see that yeoman. I think it really looks beautiful, and it really looks beautiful in its aged state, I would say. This isn't to say that this sword will not be a candidate perhaps for a more thorough cleaning, but it's not looking shabby at all in its current state, I would say. Okay, it's time to apply some oil now. Ballistol is my usual product of choice. This is kind of the final step in my cleaning process, and of course it serves both the purpose of protecting the blade from further oxidizing, but it also usually increases the shininess. It's kind of a contrast enhancer, so to speak. So it sometimes makes certain things pop out, and as you can see here, it's cleaning a little of the grime and stuff off, and you get to see a little more texture in the bottom of the pommel here in the disc. Not much, because this is quite corroded, but you can see those little ridges. You see things a little better. The problem here is that the rag I'm using is leaving a lot of yellow fibers on the rough surface of the disc there. So, well, this is something you may want to keep in mind when choosing the appropriate rag for your cleanup. It shouldn't, however, leave a lot of fibers on the blade, which is fairly smooth. So it's safe enough, I would say, to oil it using this kind of fluffy rag. So here I'm trying to get under the langet with the rag to kind of oil even the sections that are hard to reach. So one way I try to do that is to kind of force the rag in between the langets and then kind of pull it. As you see, it works, but again, a defect of this specific rag I'm using is that it's losing a lot of fibers all over the place. So probably I will use a different rag in the future. Here's the final wipe down of the blade. It will probably not shine too much, but more than I would have expected. Here you see that beautiful yeoman again. Now that it's oiled, it really, really looks beautiful. I would say this is probably the highlight of this blade for me. Overall, I would say a very good looking blade, especially for the conditions it was in, and especially for the amount of effort it took to clean it up. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, apologies for the technical issues. Future videos will not have those. I'll be triple checking the audio comes through. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon in another sword video. Bye.